Hey everyone, my name is Wes, and welcome back to Terror Talk, where I discuss creepy clips online. Just to set up clear expectations, this is a commentary channel on scary stories and weird stuff. So, if commentaries are a thing, you're in the right place. The original horror music at the end of my videos was composed by me. Now, let's get into it and have some fun.
My girlfriend and I recently moved into our new house. It's honestly the home we've been dreaming of, the perfect fit for us. We have a cat named Bella, whom we rescued together, so everything felt perfect when we first moved in. The only downside at first was the house to our right. It looked abandoned, as the owner had started renovating it but never finished. The layout of the house is such that on our right there's a space for the entrance to our back garden, and next to that is the abandoned house's entrance to its back garden.
It always seems like there's always a catch to things, right? Like, you find this perfect house, you find this perfect job, and there's always a catch to it. Have you ever experienced that before? I'm sure all of us have at some point. But yeah, it just doesn't seem like everything can be 100% perfect, does it? And I would say let me know in the comments below if you have any creepy experiences like that, because I'm used to saying that. But I have recently decided to turn off my comments on these videos. And let me explain why, and this will be just a really quick vent, but I feel like I just have to get it off my chest a little bit because I do appreciate all the subscribers that I have gotten since I've done these videos, and I've gotten about 85 subscribers, like not a ridiculous amount. It just takes a long time to grow a YouTube channel, and definitely not something that you should solely focus your income on. But I appreciate everyone who has subscribed and who has also been supportive with like positive comments, but the vast majority of comments that I get are critiques on my commentary. And I'm not looking for critiques, you little fuckers. I am not. And it's seriously pissing me off to the point where I decided to disable the comments because I thought that when I started this channel, I could it could be a place where I could just talk with people about scary stuff, scary movies, scary TV shows, just like different scary experiences and all that. Uh, talk about different paranormal topics. But no, the majority of the comments I get are these annoying little fuckers that think they have to critique my commentary, and it's genuinely pissing me off. I've had many comments like that, and I'm just done. So, I might turn the comments back on at some point. I just wanted to get that off my chest, but thank you to the people that have subscribed and who do come back and watch. I genuinely appreciate it. YouTube is just a really slow platform to grow on, especially during the summer months, which is what we're in now. But yeah, I mean, I'm just pissed off at this point about all, the critique. My very last comment, what was a critique, and it's like, come on. Like, why can't you just comment on the story itself? Because, I was doing Whispered Diaries for a little bit, and I'm gonna stop doing his stories because they're kind of lame, honestly. And if I piss anyone off, so be it. Like, Whispered Diary stories are lame, so I'm just gonna stick with Mr. Nightmare and Mr. Night Scares for a little bit and see how that goes. But I'm done venting right now. Sorry if that was a little bit long-winded, but I just need to get off my chest because it was seriously pissing me off, and that's why the comments are disabled. So, anyways, let's get on to the story.
There's no fence separating the two, as the owner removed it to install a new one but never completed the job, leaving both back gardens with open access. Behind the abandoned house is another property separated by a fence. From what we could see, several young men lived there. Occasionally, when we returned home, we'd see them cutting through the neighbor's back garden to reach the front of the street. We didn't think much of it at first. Maybe they knew the owner and had permission. Fast forward to our first night in the new house. We were sitting in the back garden, enjoying the space, and looked up at the houses behind us, just out of curiosity. That's when we noticed a man staring blankly at us from a window. He wasn't hiding it, he made it very obvious. There was no expression on his face, and the room was dark, which made the whole thing even more unsettling. We assumed he was just curious about his new neighbors, but after half an hour of that blank stare, we decided to go inside. The next few days were normal. I went to work, and my fiancée continued unpacking. One night, we decided to sit in the garden again. It was dark, but we enjoyed looking at the stars and having deep conversations, until we heard the makeshift wooden board fence being moved. Three men appeared, standing there, staring at us. "Are you okay?" I asked, knowing they wouldn't leave unless I said something. The youngest looking one, around 29, was holding a big bag, and we had no idea what was inside. He offered us some stolen washing up tablets, which we declined. I made a joke about it because the situation felt so awkward. He smiled and said okay, and then they left. What struck me was how they just let themselves into our garden without saying anything, like as if they had every right to be there. We went back inside, thinking it was a one-off, but it all started getting worse from there. They began helping themselves into our garden more often and acting in ways that were clearly meant to intimidate us. They would get into the next door house by lifting up the fence that separated the back gardens and walking through. I forgot to mention, my girlfriend and I are both 20 years old, so of course the idea that they might be trying to intimidate us as two young women was the first thing that crossed our minds. One day, while I was cleaning the front room, two police officers came around the side of our house and entered the abandoned garden. They lifted up the fence and looked around for a few minutes before leaving without saying anything. I thought it was strange, but continued with my day, assuming maybe the people next door were trouble. A few days later, the police knocked on our door. They explained that the house behind us was now vacant. The men had been kicked out for antisocial behavior, apparently not just towards us, but with other neighbors too. Honestly, we were relieved. Even though they hadn't physically done anything yet, it meant they wouldn't get the chance to escalate things. We continued settling into the house, but one day, while I was in the bath, I heard a loud bang outside. I quickly got dressed and ran to find my girlfriend. I found her recording something from our spare bedroom window, which faces the garden of the now empty house. I asked what was going on, but she shushed me. After a moment, she explained. A man we had never seen before pointed up at our bedroom window, and when she noticed him, he sprinted full speed toward our house. He tried our door handle on the way past, then ran back into the garden, threw the broken fence up, and started banging on all the windows of the empty house. We called the police immediately. They came, watched the video, took a statement, and left. We were shaken. Why would they try our door handle and then break into that house? What was he planning? A few nights later, while we were in bed, we heard whistling, the kind of whistle men use to harass women. It was 2:16 a.m. We listened quietly, and then heard someone tapping on our window. Terrified, we checked the cameras, but for some reason, they didn't record anything. Whoever it was must have left shortly after because the noises stopped. We were too scared to sleep, so the next day, we went to my mom's and stayed the night. When we returned the following morning, we noticed our Ring doorbell had been removed and placed on the floor. The SD card was gone. Someone had clearly come back, and we knew who it was. Who else would do that? We called the police again, and they told us to keep all the doors and windows locked. The woman on the phone even said that the removal of the camera could be a sign that they were planning something, which terrified us even more. But at least she was honest. The whistling, banging, and attempts to re-enter the house continued for weeks. We made multiple police reports. They never tried our door again, so we hoped it was over. But 3 weeks later, while in bed watching funny clips from our camera, we checked the live feed. That's when we saw a man outside, wearing a black mask covering his mouth and nose, with his hood up, standing in front of our garden with his arms spread wide, like he was imitating Jesus on the cross. He stared up at our bedroom window with his head tilted. We froze. At the time, we had moved the camera inside the house, so it didn't record. We were so shaken we didn't even think to screen record. He then spoke, but we couldn't hear what he said. Then he turned around, walked to the opposite side of the street, and just stood there, staring at our house for about 30 minutes. We called the police again. They said it wasn't illegal to stare at someone's property and dismissed the whole thing, even when we told them what he did on our lawn. They made us feel like we were overreacting. We couldn't sleep for days. Any noise outside terrified us, even normal ones. Then, one night at 2:52 a.m., we got a notification. I woke my girlfriend and said, "Someone's outside, I know it. Please check the camera." She did, and there they were. Two masked men coming from the side of our house, shining flashlights into our windows. One of them, the same man who had been harassing us, was holding what looked like a crowbar. Why us? What was the point of this? For days on end, he would stand across the street, pointing, waving, or shouting things up at our window. Every time we looked, he would stare blankly at us. It was clearly meant to scare us, and it worked. We kept contacting the police, but they've done very little. The harassment continues. We've got cameras now. We record everything, but we feel powerless. Just earlier today, he stood outside again, staring up at us. We got it on video, and we're absolutely terrified. But we'll update if anything else happens.
Yeah, this whole situation just sounds like a complete and utter nightmare, doesn't it? And it really does belong on Mr. Nightmare's channel. And I think that Mr. Nightmare, his stories are excellent compared to the rest of them that are out there. But what would you do if you were in this type of situation? I'm obviously asking hypothetically now because I've turned off the comments on these videos, but what would you do if you were in a situation like this? Because I think it's really angering when, you're in a situation like this and the police can do very little to help. And I think that the laws around harassment should be a lot stricter, because if something like this is going on, like, you almost always hear the people complaining that the police can never do anything. And, just even trying to break in, like, how is that not a crime? Like, I don't get it. Like, it's only a crime if you actually physically break in. But oh no, if you have a crowbar and you're wandering around the premises, like, I just don't get it. Do you get it? Because I'm kind of at a loss. But honestly, if it were me in this situation, I wouldn't have put up with this for weeks. And I think maybe they were targeting these women. They did say 2 women, right? Not a man and a woman, but 2 women. If I, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think they did say 2 women in the story. But yeah, like, I think they were targeting these women because they were women, and there are sick people like that out in the world. So, unfortunately, this kind of stuff does happen, I'm guessing, more frequently than not, and it would be terrifying. But I think if I was in this situation, probably wouldn't happen to men as much, but I would move after a couple weeks. Like, I wouldn't put up with this for weeks on end. That's kind of ridiculous that they stayed as long as they did. But either way, I hope you enjoyed my commentary, and I apologize for the rant in the beginning. I just had to get that off my chest. I apologize for the rant in the beginning, but I do hope that you enjoyed my commentary and the music, and I will see you in the next video.